Okay, campus sexual assaults, right? I guess I'm going to start with some statistics. I don't know if you guys are aware of these stats or not, but, just for some background. In a nationally representative survey of adults, 37.4% of female rape survivors were attacked between the ages of 18 and 24.
Wow.
42% of college women who are raped tell no one about the assault.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
I believe that.
In a study of undergraduate women, 19% had experienced attempted or completed sexual assault since entering college. 43% of college-aged men conceded to using coercive behavior to have sex, including ignoring a woman's protest, using physical aggression, and forcing intercourse, but did not admit that it was rape.
Wow.
Which is pretty interesting. I know it looks long, but, some more stats.
No, this what
That's okay.
that previous slide is so important because what's the number? What are we saying? What percentage of young women are being, coerced and attacked in places that they should feel very comfortable?
Right.
Right.
And what percentage of women don't know that it's rape also?
Yeah.
If
And
the
they
men
don't.
don't,
That's right.
how is the girl supposed to know if we're all sort of taught the same, well, or, not taught, the definition of consent. So.
And also, if I can just add one more thing, women who are silenced by the violence, who do not report it.
42% of college women.
That's a very big number.
It is, yeah. All right. 5% of rape incidents are reported to the police, and 10 times more are reported to hotlines than are actually reported to the police. So the most commonly cited reason for not reporting rape is institutional barriers on campus. So some examples of these are, I guess the format got messed up, but administrators who respond to students with disbelief or other inappropriate behavior, like behaviors such as asking them inappropriate questions such as what were you wearing, and were you walking home alone, were you with somebody, were you accompanied by anyone, sort of trying to figure out is this their fault, but of course it's never their fault. And then also campus judiciary processes that are difficult to understand and follow. It's sort of almost like if it's on state property that a rape happens, it's totally different than if it's handled on campus. Because if it's on campus, the staff will pretty much do everything they can to sweep the whole thing under the rug just so they can keep up their stats, keep their credentials.
That's exactly right.
Many students who were discouraged because of these barriers transferred or withdrew from their schools, while their alleged attackers were almost uniformly unpunished. Case study for you. I don't know if you guys have heard this story about a victim of rape at Harvard who actually got her story published by the Harvard newspaper. It was an article called "Dear Harvard, You Win." Basically, it was talking all about her struggle and how eventually she had to transfer from Harvard to somewhere else because it just became a safety hazard. It became literally hazardous to her health to be attending Harvard, because I believe what happened was she tried to get her attacker, her rapist, thrown off campus, and she couldn't. In fact, they were living in the same dorm building, and she couldn't even get them to move him to a different dorm building, let alone kick him off campus. So she developed an anxiety disorder, several, I think, and depression, and she just, every time she saw him around campus, or even in her own dorm building, she would have an anxiety attack, and it became really a risk for her to be there because they refused to do anything about it. They gave him basically a slap on the wrist and nothing else. Great. You guys have probably heard of this. Hashtag #YesAllWomen is a Twitter movement sparked by the recent shooting at UC Santa Barbara by Elliot Rodger, who killed himself and 6 other people, some women, some men, and then injured 13 others. What really caused the controversy was a video he posted right before this massacre, which was explaining his reasoning. It was basically saying, he's been rejected all his life by girls, how dare they, he was blaming them, for all his problems. He was sort of I'm a nice guy, how could, he's a self-proclaimed, great guy, and how could all these people reject him? And his reaction was with violence because he feels so entitled, like, to have sex with these women who have rejected him. So the reason why it's hashtag yes all women is because, clearly, like, women tend to respond to these things with complete shock for obvious reasons. And then men get all defensive and tend to use the defense of, like, not all men are rapists, like, we're not all bad. But that's completely irrelevant, and it really just derails from the real conversation, which is about these rape cases. So here's an analogy for you that was actually inspired by Jon Stewart. Okay, not everyone that carries a gun is a maniac who's going to try and kill you, but you can't tell the difference between a good guy with a gun and a bad guy with a gun unless they're in a police uniform. Now, rapists don't wear uniforms, so it's almost impossible. It is impossible to tell the difference between rapists and non-rapists, like men who will rape you and men who will not. So the not all men argument, and like it's become hashtag not all men, it's ridiculous and completely irrelevant, because even if not all men are rapists, all women have to be scared of all men regardless. Mm-hmm. So it sort of just derails the conversation about what women face. Mm-hmm. So here are some of my personal favorite tweets. Hashtag yes all women, because even a taped confession admitting to raping me wasn't enough to put him in jail. Because we all know someone who's been made to feel like it wasn't assault when it was. Because women are scared of walking alone at night more than men are scared of the consequences of rape.
Wow.
And then the last one, hashtag yes all women, because I have a boyfriend is more likely to get a guy to back off than no, because they respect other men more than women.
Wow.
So
Wow.
that was pretty powerful.
Really,
It's right on point in my opinion. Yeah.
wow.
Okay. And also something that caused a lot of outrage for obvious reasons were the responses to his YouTube video in the comments section. Here are some of them. Well, girls, keep that in mind the next time you friend zone somebody. See, girls, this is what you get for treating nice guys like shit. I don't blame guns, I blame blondes for this one. I hope you women see this as a lesson to stop being so stuck up. What a boss, but he should be more smart by being a serial killer, raping and killing girls way more smart, and torture them until martyr state.
Wow.
It's one of the most absolutely ridiculous things I've ever heard. And then, I feel really bad for him. And I really feel bad for him. Rejection is agony. So even that last one seems like the most reasonable out of all of them, but it's still placing the blame on women who consciously decide they don't want to have sex with him, and rather than on him for, not backing off and being so angry about it, and that's because he feels so entitled. So,